Some people don't walk into a room and simply arrive. They enter while scanning, adjusting, and quietly preparing to be felt by everyone there. They smile, they speak, they seem fine, but inside, their body never fully unclenches. If that sounds familiar, your exhaustion may not come from doing too much. It may come from never fully setting yourself down around other people. You can look calm at dinner and still feel your mind bracing under the table. You can answer normally while your nervous system keeps one hand on the exit. This is the strange fatigue nobody sees. Not panic, not drama, just the constant effort of staying subtly ready. Ready to respond, ready to soften, ready to read the room, ready to keep yourself emotionally adjusted before anyone asks you to. And when you live like that for years, being around people stops feeling simple. Even good people can feel like stimulation your body has to survive. That is why you can leave a perfectly normal conversation and feel oddly depleted. Nothing bad happened, but something in you never got to rest. You may have noticed this in small moments first. A short coffee date leaves you tired. A casual meeting lingers in your chest. A family visit takes all evening to recover from. Other people seem to move on quickly. You come home still carrying the tone of the room. You replay your face, your timing, your words, not because you love overthinking, but because your mind is still trying to finish an experience your body never felt safe enough to fully process. That is one of the hidden patterns here. The moment ends outside, but it keeps going inside. A lot of people think relaxing around others is just a personality trait. They call themselves awkward, shy, intense, introverted, or just bad at socializing. But often it goes deeper than social preference. Sometimes the real issue is that your system treats human presence like ongoing input. Not just sound and conversation, but tone, posture, mood, microexpressions, pauses, pressure, expectation. You are not only in the interaction, you are processing the entire emotional climate around it. So while someone else is just talking, you may also be noticing their energy shift. You catch the slight tension in their voice and the tiny change in their eyes. You register what they mean, what they feel, and what they might need. And you do it so fast, you barely notice you're doing it. That speed is part of why the tiredness feels confusing. You don't remember working that hard, because so much of the work happens automatically. Some people are mentally loud in obvious ways. Their stress shows on the surface. Others look composed, thoughtful, even gentle. But internally, they are running a full background operation every time another person enters the space. They are monitoring themselves and others at once. They are speaking while also tracking impact. Did that sound cold? Did that seem strange? Did they pull back? Should I explain more? Should I say less? Even when nothing is wrong, the mind keeps editing in real time. It keeps trying to prevent friction before friction appears. That kind of self-monitoring can look like maturity from the outside. Inside, it often feels like never getting to fully exhale. You may be the person who feels tired before the event even starts, not because you hate people, but because your body already knows the cost of staying open. It knows you will have to be present, readable, responsive, pleasant, aware. It knows your attention will not belong fully to you for a while. And that matters more than most people realize. Attention is not just mental energy, it is nervous system fuel. When your attention is always partially assigned to other people, your inner world never gets full privacy. Even silence can feel crowded when someone else is nearby. That is why some people cannot relax even with people they love. Safety is not only about trust. It is also about whether your body feels free from subtle performance. You can trust someone deeply and still feel watched in small ways. You can love them and still remain slightly arranged. Maybe your voice changes around others. Maybe your breathing gets shallower, your shoulders lift, your humor becomes more careful, your thoughts stop landing naturally. Then you get home, close the door, and feel your real weight drop back into your body. Suddenly you are tired in a way that feels almost physical. That delayed crash is not random. It often means you are holding more activation than you could feel in the moment. When highly aware people are in social settings, they often don't feel overwhelmed right away. They feel focused, functional, and strangely alert. The exhaustion arrives later, in the kitchen, in the shower, in bed. It arrives when the room is finally quiet enough for your body to stop postponing itself. This is why you can come across as socially capable and still be deeply drained by people. Performance and ease are not the same thing. You may know exactly how to make others comfortable. That does not mean you know how to stay comfortable while doing it. Sometimes the pattern began early. You learned to read moods quickly, Avoid tension, stay considerate, and sense what kind of version of you was safest to offer. Not in some dramatic movie scene way, more in the quiet, ordinary way a child becomes emotionally useful. You notice who is tired, who is irritated, who needs softness, who needs space. Over time, awareness stops feeling like a skill and starts feeling like your default position. So now, as an adult, your body still enters rooms like a translator. It listens before it lives. You might think your problem is that you need more confidence, but confidence does not automatically quiet a system trained to stay highly responsive. You can believe in yourself and still have a body that keeps preparing for emotional weather. Those are two different layers. This is why simple advice can feel so insulting. Just be yourself sounds easy when your system has spent years asking which self is safest here. Relax, speak up, don't overthink, stop caring what people think. None of that touches the deeper issue. Because the problem is not always fear of judgment. Sometimes it is the burden of constant inner adjustment. You are adjusting your expression, your energy, your wording, your timing. You are trying to stay authentic and manageable at the same time. That split is exhausting. It creates a quiet, double consciousness where part of you is living and part of you is observing the living. And the observer never fully goes off duty. It stays awake at night, reviewing what the daytime self had to carry. That is why bedtime can feel strangely crowded. The house is quiet, but your mind starts reopening every unfinished social file. The laugh you gave that felt slightly wrong, the text you sent with a tone that might have been misunderstood, the moment someone went quiet and you felt responsible without proof, the tiny shift in a friend's face that your body stored like important evidence. Other people call these small things. Your system treats them like open tabs. That does not mean you are broken. It means your awareness has very low thresholds for emotional detail. And low thresholds create high accumulation. A day that looks ordinary from the outside can feel internally packed. A crowded grocery store, a chatty coworker, a neighbor's energy, a loud cafe, a tense email, a friend venting on the phone. None of these moments seem huge alone. But your body does not always measure stress by size. It measures by contact, complexity, and how little recovery existed between inputs. That is why some people wake up tired before the day even fully begins. Their system never finished clearing yesterday. You may sleep, but not fully reset. Your body lies down while your mind keeps sorting emotional residue in the dark. And then morning starts with a subtle deficit. Not dramatic enough to explain, just enough to make the world feel a little too close. This hidden depletion changes how you move through ordinary life. A text feels heavier, a plan feels louder, a simple errand feels like too much exposure. You begin to crave cancellation without knowing why. You want rest, but rest is not just about being alone. For people like this, real rest means no managing, no reading the room, no calibrating your face, no sensing what someone needs from your energy. It means sitting on the couch and not being perceived. It means making tea in a quiet kitchen and finally hearing your own nervous system again. That is why alone time can feel less like a preference and more like oxygen. It is often the first place your body stops negotiating. Still, there is an important truth here. Not everyone who struggles to relax around others is simply introverted. Some are deeply sensitive to emotional atmosphere. Some are carrying old social vigilance. Some have spent years being the steady one, the easy one, the one who notices first. Whatever the reason, the result is similar. Human connection starts costing more than it appears to cost. And that can create shame, because you may genuinely love people while also feeling worn down by them. You may care deeply, show up well, and still need an amount of recovery that seems unreasonable even to you. So you wonder what is wrong with you. But the better question is this: what if your tiredness is not weakness but unrecognized processing load? What if the fatigue comes from how much you register, how much you contain, and how rarely you stop doing both? What if your calm exterior has been hiding a very expensive internal job? That does not mean the pattern is noble. Awareness can be beautiful, but chronic self-abandonment dressed as sensitivity is still exhausting. There is a real cost to being the person who notices everything, especially when you notice everyone except the moment your own system started filling past capacity. That is why some sensitive people reach burnout quietly, not with a dramatic collapse, but with a slow loss of spark. They still function, still answer, still show up, but joy starts feeling further away than it used to. The world becomes something they can handle, not something they can enjoy. Their body becomes efficient, but never deeply at ease. And that is the piece many people miss. Relaxation is not laziness, it is biological permission. If your system rarely receives that permission around others, even healthy connection can feel like work. Even love can arrive with tension braided into it. So the goal is not to become less caring. It is to notice when caring turns into constant internal labor. It is to recognize the moment attention stops flowing and starts bracing. The moment presence becomes performance. Sometimes that shift is tiny. Your jaw tightens, your laugh gets thinner, your thoughts stop sounding like your own. Sometimes it happens so fast you only notice the aftermath. You get home and sit in the dark for 10 minutes before doing anything else. You are not being dramatic in those moments. You are coming back online to yourself. That return can feel almost sacred. Shoes off, lights low, nobody asking anything, your chest finally dropping an inch. And in that quiet, something honest appears. You realize how much of the day was spent subtly holding yourself together. Not because people were cruel, just because being perceived can be tiring when your system absorbs more than it releases. This is where maturity matters. You do not need to romanticize your sensitivity to respect its limits. You do not have to call it a gift every time it hurts. Some traits are meaningful and burdensome at the same time. You can be deeply perceptive and still admit the strain. You can value your empathy and still grieve what it costs your body. Because the cost is real. The sleeplessness, the second guessing, the delayed crashes, the way ordinary social life can quietly eat your energy. And yet, there is something relieving about finally naming it clearly. You are not tired for no reason. You are tired because your inner world does not go off when the room gets full. It keeps listening long after everyone else has gone home. It keeps tracking tone, reviewing meaning, carrying residue, and preparing for the next interaction. No wonder rest has felt incomplete. Maybe that is the sentence you have needed for years. You are not failing at being around people. You are spending more of yourself there than anyone can see. And once you understand that, your exhaustion stops looking lazy or mysterious. It starts looking honest. Honest about your wiring. Honest about your history. Honest about the weight of constant awareness. Honest about how tiring it is to stay gently braced all the time. So, if you have never been able to fully relax around others, it does not automatically mean you are distant or difficult. It may mean your system has learned that connection requires effort before it allows comfort. And if that effort has exhausted you, that exhaustion makes sense. It has been earned in quiet ways. The deepest change often begins there, not with forcing yourself to be more social, but with no longer mocking the part of you that comes home tired. No longer shaming the long shower, the dark room, the silence, the canceled plan, the slow recovery. No longer pretending your body should need less than it needs. Because some people are not tired from life being empty. They are tired from how much they feel, notice, hold, and manage before anyone realizes they needed a break. And maybe that is who you have been all along. Not weak, not cold, not broken, just carrying an invisible level of inner noise while looking perfectly fine. The world saw composure. Your body carried the bill. That is the psychology of people who cannot relax around others. They are often the ones doing the most invisible work, just to appear at ease. And when they finally understand that, something softens. Not the world, not every relationship, but the way they speak to their own tired heart. Sometimes that is the first real exhale. The moment you stop asking, why am I like this, and start saying, of course I'm tired. Of course I'm tired. I have been holding a conversation on the outside and a whole atmosphere on the inside.